Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's XAUUSD webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Tonight's webinar is live Forex market review. MD, good evening to you. Now, before we move along, if you can all read through the disclaimer, any comments, questions to the chat box, Q&A box, I've got both open. And if you're on our YouTube live stream, I can't see the chat there when I'm doing the webinar, but you're more than welcome to join us in the webinar. Just follow the link that I've given you there in the chat. Other than that, you can just watch, but I just can't see the chat. Or I will move along. Now, if you don't know me, then my name is Duncan Cooper, I'm Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at XAUUSD. I've been trading the market now, Forex market, for more than 15 years, almost 20. Mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me at our website, acy.com, go to the Market News tab, or our YouTube channel at XAUUSD Australia. Or if you want to connect with me personally, my Linktree page is there. So over to there and you'll get my links. If you want to get access to the chart alerts and temps I'm using in the webinars for MT4, then just contact nathan.bray's emails on the bottom of the screen, and I'll put his details in the chat for everybody. He'll be only too happy to set you up. Or if you've got any questions, contact him about anything. All right, let's get into, first of all, the news for the day. And I might just refresh. Don't need to refresh this. Here we go. So we have a very high impacting news item. Euro main refinancing rate, monetary policy statement at 10:15, and then US unemployment claims at 10:30, which can drive the market. But primarily the Eurozone here, and then the Eurozone at 10:45. We've got the press conference following the interest rate decision. Not expecting an interest rate cut this month. You never know, but I'm guessing if that comes unexpected, the market's going to look to the forward guidance, maybe coming from the ECB press conference at 10:45. The US unemployment claims can definitely drive the market too. So it's going to be volatile between 10:15 and probably 11:15 for sure. Earlier in the day, pound claimant count change came in a little bit more negative. That sent the pound dollar down. Pound dollar went up yesterday with a slightly higher CPI print. So the pound has been very high up, although it is breaking down today. And then getting into tomorrow, we have from the UK at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. These times are my time, Queensland time. Retail sales for the pound, core retail sales and retail sales for the Canadian at 10:30 p.m. Okay. So those are the remaining items coming out for the week. So it's going to be volatile this evening. Be aware of that. You may want to step aside until post Eurozone US dollar news there in that window. All right, let's get to the charts now. US dollar has been selling off this week. It's trading within this range that I've got drawn in on the day chart here. The monthly range, there's a minor low here to top. And at the moment, that's what it looks like on the weekly. I'm using this low here, 102.35 up to 106.58. We're coming down. We've broken this, what was potentially a strong area of weekly support. These are weekly areas of support, even though it's a day chart. Now, we've broken below it, and you can see there we have potentially, get my drawing tool over. We've potentially at the moment broken below. It's become resistance to move down. And we're at the 79% level or close to. So trend is down on the day swings, down into a very key fib level where we often can get support turn back around. So we're definitely very low, very much at discount within this range. All right. Definitely where price could bottom if it wants to. And we're definitely seeing, well, pound is very high and it's trading down today. Be interesting to see what the euro dollar does, because that's broken above its 109.16 level just. And, you know, is it going to false break or move higher? If we get a false break, this is going to move up. So watching the structure of this over the next few days, we start to see a reversal and see pairs to US dollar move down. Whether or not we get that, we'll have to wait and see. S&P 500 is looking just at the moment a little bit toppy. Very negative yesterday. I'd be a lot happier if I wanted to buy the S&P 500 as for a trade. I'd be a lot happier for it to pull back to this area of support at 55.20.89. Of course, we're nowhere near that at the moment. 4-hour charts turned down. I did notice using the range of last week's low up to the current week, which is a fresh high. We've been down to the 79% level here, and there's lots of 4-hour support through here. So 55.79, if we were to come back into that area today, that could remain as support. There's support through here. This could be a good area to watch for price to come down, hold, trade back up. So that would be an intraday area. I'd be a lot happier down here at 55.20 if I was wanting to trade. It would be back down to a much more support and discount area to where the market is at the moment. All right, so it'll be interesting to see if we get further fall through to the downside on the S&P 500. All right, so the euro dollar, I wouldn't be trading the euro dollar till post the news today. Rather range bound at the moment. It's been going down into a downtrend, back into an uptrend here on the 15-minute chart, swinging both ways. Now on the day chart, we've taken out this high. We were holding there. I got short at 109.16 on this day here. I got stopped out, break even. And that's the end of last year's high to the current low of this year. 62 level at 109.33, pretty much where we're at right now. There's a few highs here. After we failed up here in February, lower top starting to form. So before we broke down. So I'm just looking at this area as a potential area of sell zone. Now, of course, tonight's news from the Eurozone is going to determine probably where this goes over the next 24 hours. And I'm not that keen just to short there in the face of the interest rate decision. But later in the day, if we were to, jostle around here and once more fail at 109.42 intraday, it certainly begs the question, are we in an area where the sellers are to, trade back? Can we trade back down? And what happens at 109.16? So at the moment, trend is up. We're trading into a very strong sell area up here at the moment. Doesn't mean to say we can't trade through it, but it's not necessarily where I want to be a buyer. I wanted to be a buyer. If this is going to continue up, I want to see price pull back to 109.16. So on the 4-hour chart, there's my 109.16, last month's high, 109.15.5. So that level, I would look for that to be intraday support today. You could also be drawing a fib on the 4-hour chart. Got a 62% level in there, 109.14.8. So that could be support today on a pullback. And that's not so far away. So if the market gets very volatile when the interest rate decision comes out, it's unlikely to hold. But 2 reference points I would be watching is what's happening at 109.42 today for the short side. And on the buy side, what's happening at 109.16. If we get a clear break back below 109.16 today, when the news comes out, and then it wants to maybe bid back up, buy back up for a while, I would watch 109.16 then to be resistance. If it was to spike down and be back above 109.16, you could look for it to be support. So you'll just have to wait and see how price reacts when it comes out. At the moment, it's just holding at the central pivot point here. It's gone to the upside here. You can see it's a bit of no real direction. It's tried to move up, and then it's tried to move down, and it's changed back to up. And then what is it doing here? Is it going to move back below here? It's going to hold at the central pivot point. It's probably just going to chop around here until the news comes out. So I will just wait past the news, and then I'm giving the levels I'm watching. Euro yen. Now all these yen pairs have had a significant sell-off, and I am definitely framing the idea that maybe we could have put a bottom in, because lots of them have pulled back to 62 to 79% zone of last month's range. Or I should say, from the starting point of last month's low up to the new high of this month, we've pulled back. So if I go to the day chart here, that was last month's low. This is the fresh high of this month. And we pulled back in between the 62 and 79% level on that range. Now, the more significant thing is this 169.95 level. There's also a daily level here at 170.13. But if you go to the monthly chart, go left, this high over here, major high, 169.95. That's why I got the line drawn in. Is we've come down to that high, and is it acting as support? So is it acting as support? Sitting in the middle of the 62-79% area here. At the moment, it's come down to that level, and it's trying to hold at this high over here at 170.88 to be resistance. So it's just between 2 points, but very much logically, there's your range at the moment on the bigger scale where you could draw a fib. You're in the 62-79% zone here. Are we going to see start of some kind of bottoming coming out, forming in this area over the next few trading days? Are we ultimately going to come back up and feel this imbalance that occurred on that drop over time? Now, if we can't hold 169.95, well, of course, that's probably the end of that analysis. But at the moment, we're quite clearly getting support pretty much exactly, or I think we were 1 or 2 pips above there. The low came in at 169.98. So a few pips above that level. Price got support, getting support of that old high here. Now, at the moment, the 4-hour chart is still in a downtrend. 1-hour chart is a little bit sideways. You're not going to know if this is going to move all the way up or down at the moment until we get the news coming out later. So then it'll be a question of do you have enough opportunity to get in lower down here at the moment? Or you're going to have to wait for some kind of setup to form over the next day or two that you like to look at. So I guess at the moment, it's just worth understanding where are we positioned in this move down. There's a number of imbalances that have been forming to the downside, notably 1, 2. And over the coming week, are we going to start to reclaim the upside? If I can start to see a 4-hour uptrend forming, then that will probably be a confirmation that we're putting in an interim bottom down here, and I should be looking for the opportunity to get long. So I'm not seeing that. I'm not keen to get short down here now that we're in the 62-79% zone. So I'm just waiting to see if we start to establish a turnaround. And that's really the same exact thing. I'm looking at all the yen pairs at the moment. Are we putting in an interim bottom? All right. Euro pound. While we're bottoming down here, you can see a very nasty rejection candle here on the daily. Now, if we are bottoming down here to move back up to the previous resistance up here, we're going to have to move above 84.16, which could be resistance to then move back down. So whilst we've got what looks like a very strong reversal candle down the bottom, we could hold at 84.16. So if you're much more wanting to follow the overall higher time frame trend, which is down, you could be looking at 84.16 to hold today. 4-hour chart trend is up here at the moment. I'd be much more inclined though to look for a pullback within this range, 62 level, overlaps with last month's low. So we false broke last month's low. I would watch, personally, I wouldn't want to be playing down from 84.16, but that is a level to look for short at. If you want to trade the short side, I'd be happy to see what if this can come down, hold here once more to then trade back up this range. There's an imbalance here that may need to be filled, and there's another one here, and there's a bit of one up here. So this may have done its initial move down and may need a corrective phase back up. So that would be, I think, my preferred structural option to trade. However, if on the bear side, 84.16 is resistance. So if you could see a very tight entry up here that you'd like the look of, in fact, we've just come up to retest 84.16 and withdrawn. I really sell, stop. If you wanted to be a seller, you're not going to be risking too many pips there. No more than probably maximum of 10 to see if that's going to move back down to the support area 83.97. Okay. Pound dollar. Of course, trading the euro pound has the euro in it, so it's not the best idea trading it at the moment with the interest rate decision coming out, but just discussing what I'm seeing. Pound dollar has been having a very good advance, struggling. We did trade on the CPI news yesterday. We did trade above where we stopped at, which was 129.95 from the weekly chart level over here. Here we false broke it. That week's high there, which is a day chart swing high, that's where we held at, 129.95, and then we did trade above it yesterday, but we're back below it today. So whilst we can clearly see where the weekly trend is up here, this is a definite area where the market could hold at. This is, that is last year's high, so we're getting close to last year's high. So we're getting, last year's high is the highest price that anybody was prepared to buy at for the whole year. So as we get close to that yearly high, we don't have to get to it to top out. You need to understand though, once we're getting close to it, we're very expensive relative to what people were prepared to buy at before we sold off last year. So we're at premium prices relative to last year's trading. So do you want to be a buyer at premium prices? Doesn't say we can't move up, but you just have to be aware where we're at the moment within context of last year. Daily chart. So we've been just above 123, got up to yesterday round about 30.43. All right, now if you are prepared to be a buyer at such high levels, then this range needs to hold on a pullback, 62 level, and this high here at 129.79. That would be the buy area for anybody that's bullish. Okay. Now, if you're bearish, and we had a little bit of a lower top form on the 4-hour chart, even though it's not one of the major tops, this little area here. And then we came up and retested the figure on the 15-minute chart. Really, if you're bearish, so that's the buy area down here, which we're just a little bit above at the moment. I'm just going to redraw this in. through this area here. Okay, where we broke out of this little consolidation yesterday, and there's a little bit of imbalance here. So we might be actually sitting. We've almost pretty much came down and sat there. So that really is the buy area, and we actually have traded down there to the pip. So if you're bullish, really you need to think about, do you want to get long? Stop just below this area to see if we can move back up above 129.95 in the figure. I mean, intraday trading at the moment until we've just hit this zone. So this is the buy zone potentially, is negative. We've broken below the figure and 129.95 came back up to the figure to come into this area. And we have had, putting a fib tool in, 62% retracement here. So there was a nice short opportunity just in here. If you saw how the structure was breaking down on the 50-minute chart. The question now is, has it bottomed here? So if you're very bullish the pound still, you need to be thinking about getting long. If you're bearish, then if you did short up here, hopefully you break even and you're waiting to see if we're going to continue to break south. All right, so there's a bit of a battle in this zone at the moment. And still, we could bounce off the buy area here at the moment and still finish short by the end of the day. We could end up with a tussle here at the moment between the buyers and the sellers. Really, I think this is the sell zone where the sellers are. This is the buy zone. So which side of the market are you on? All right, I'll leave you to think about that. Pound yen, day chart. On the day chart, we're down. On the weekly chart, we're quite clearly up. So the day chart downtrend is just a corrective of this upward move, this range. Today, we haven't got down to support here or the 62 level at 201.30. I think it's 201.38. That's support at 201.61. So that would be where I would be eyeing for this to come down into. And then we don't have that much space left to get down there. So I'm not that fussed about trying to short down into there. I would want to know if we got down into this area, do we start to see on the 4-hour chart some kind of reversal? All right. Now, just on the short side, so I'm thinking, we might get down here. I'm not that fussed about shorting. Should have been, if you wanted to short, should have been maybe shorting a couple of days ago before the next move down. But what I did notice is if you look at the 4-hour chart, there's this high here to low. And on the 15-minute chart, we got last month's high here, and we tagged that to the pip at the 62% area. So we could still today, if you're more on the short side, we could still today revisit this area and tag it again. You can understand why it held there last month's high. We've moved back below. It's become to offer resistance and the 62% level of this range on the 4-hour chart. That's most definitely where, we could revisit, hold for another move down today. All right, let's get into Aussie yen. Daily. Right, I want to go to, first of all, I just want to go to the monthly. We're just below this monthly high here. This high could act as resistance on any movement back up. That's at 105.42. Or we've just moved below it for a bit and then we're going to bounce back above it. So that's a key level to watch. If there's more downside at the moment, we really should start to see that area, that level, 105.42 being resistance and wanting to hold and remain as resistance. And then we might see, we could see a deep move down to the area that we broke above, the area that we're maybe thinking back in time was going to hold as resistance to move down. We broke above, then that area could be quite clearly support. That could be the target zone for support at 98.58.1. But that's just, a long-term idea that, if we keep breaking down, that may be well the target. Weekly trend is up, and then there's a weekly high here at 104.93, which we've traded underneath, but false broke below. So when you're looking at the weekly, it kind of starts to maybe, like I was saying on the other EM pairs, this movement down is just corrective against the weekly uptrend at the moment until proven different. So this daily downward move here, which got quite aggressive yesterday, came straight into a daily chart high of support, 104.70.18, just traded underneath it. So if we get a close above 105.42 today, that monthly high, that's kind of maybe giving a bullish scenario to move back up this range. So 105.42 is the key area. If we can't get above there with any conviction, then that's where, maybe you're looking to short. 4 hour. Now, I did the same thing on the pound yen. See this little inside candle? We had a big drop. So the next candle that tried to go up is just there. And then we continued down. So there's you can use that as a swing top. Draw a fib. And you'll see then that at the moment, we've just retraced to the 79% level of this range. See how we trade a couple of pips above the 105.42 level. It's holding and move back below. So that's the sell level if you want to be a seller. If you want to be a buyer, you want to see price come above intraday, then become support to offer that as a logging area, a buying area to move back above the monthly high. So at the moment intraday today, we aren't able to get above that level. Now, whether or not it's going to happen today, it's going to happen tomorrow, or whether or not we're not going to get above there. This is a line in the sand between the buyers and the sellers at the moment. Now, what you can definitely see is as we've sold down the first time, then we came up, put in a higher bottom here, we've hit it again. Are we going to break above or are we going to fail? All right, is it going to fail once more to come down, or is it going to break above and become support? That's what you need to decide and watch for. All right. I'm a little more inclined that this might break north, but I don't have a reason to buy. I'm not going to buy into that top. All right, Aussie dollar. Now, of course, today as well, Aussie yen has a little bit of an upward move because the job figures came out today quite nice for the Aussie crosses, but it only got back up to that resistance level. So this was the move up on the Aussie dollar on 50-minute chart today from day chart support. So day chart, it's broken a minor low here. It's come down to this top over here. So if you're wise earlier in the day, this is the buy level for the buyers at the moment. And if it wanted to be user-friendly, the sell level would be up here at this resistance at 67.61 if you want to be a seller. Those are the key areas of support and resistance at the moment. Overall, big swings, the trend is up here at the moment, but it has failed at a significant fib level here from late last year's high to this year's low. And there's the question, this fail at the 79% level, this could be the high of the year to come down to retest the low of the year and put in a further low. We're very high up within the pricing of last year's trading. I said it's the weekly chart. That actually wasn't last year's high, it was here. In fact, no, it wasn't. It was actually all the way up here. But this was the high in December, failing at just short of the highs in what was April, May, June here. And I said last week, watch the 68 level because we really struggled there last year. And I got short about 67.94, I think it was. So whilst I'm seeing bullish price action on the day in terms of structure still at the moment, although we have a minor break just here, I am short. I got short in here. Now I'm at break even, so if it comes up and takes me out, it'll be the second time I get taken out this week. I'm looking for 67.14 to break. Now at the moment we're just trading back up into. We've had a day down from the day before. We're just trading back inside the range of yesterday. That's this range here now. So that is a downtrend on the 4-hour chart. That's a lower bottom to that bottom. That's a lower top to the last top. Okay, structurally down, starting to struggle at the 62 level. It has already just mapped out a little head and shoulder pattern here on the 15-minute chart. All right, is it now breaking down to run down to at least these lows? All right, could at the moment be, selling stop above here or stop above here. This could be the high of the day. Are we moving back down? Now, if that's going to move down, it does beg the question then, can the Aussie yen move up? Because it may well want to hold then at that monthly high. So as that's moving down, what's the Aussie yen doing? Central pivot points there as well. It's not got any upward pressure at the moment. All right. Next one, New Zealand yen. Monthly chart, all-time high. 97.75. Well, we're false breaking it. Supports could come from this high here at 94.04. Haven't quite got there yet. Weekly chart, there's a minor weekly area here that's got broken. The major area of supports are these tops here. Daily is quite clearly down. That was an intervention high. So really, if we're going to continue down to 94.04, any upward movement needs to be held in this area here. And it's worth putting this low in here as well. 95.2590. That area there. What's support should be resistance. And that one, that level I just put in was last month's low as well. So we've broken below last month's low. That could be strong resistance now on a move back up. So that's the area that you want to be resistance on a rally. If you're bearish, you don't want to see price move back above that area. That's the same for our candle showing on the Aussie yen and the pound yen. So at the moment, 62 level of that range is holding, but the 79% level overlaps perfectly with last month's low. So that would be, if I wanted to trade this to the short side, that would be the area I would look at. 15. So that would be my area to look at here. 95.25 to 95.23. That would be the selling level. And breaking above this area over the next few days really opens up the door to move back up. So that's really the line in the sand for the continued move down at the moment. Moving back above there doesn't bode well for the shorts. We'll probably see a move back up. All right, back to the day chart. And 9404 here, which is that monthly high. That's where the buyers want to be watching. If you're bullish New Zealand yen for the long term, that is where you want to be looking. All right, so just going to leave that on the 15-minute. Whether we can get driven up there, but that's the clear level to watch for the sellers at the moment to continue the move down. Struggling today at 95, so it's like putting equal highs here, pretty much like the Aussie yen. So it may not want to get up to that level, maybe starting to fail at 95. So you have to make a decision. Do you want to wait for this level, or starting to decide maybe we're holding here to move down? New Zealand dollar to the day chart. So I've got this long-term theory that maybe we've got a big double top in play. And whilst the price action here is not that great, most immediate, there's a top here to a bottom, and whilst we had a reversal candle up, we stopped at the 62 level and hold support here. Can't go back in time to that level now, but that's why it stopped there. Hold support, 62 level, came resistance. Now we may revisit, so you can watch that level for a revisit. I don't like, at the moment we're just sitting above last week's low, so we're sitting in a support level. Intra week, it's a support level. It's not where you just want to click in and sell. You want to, be trying to click in higher up, so that if you are getting support at last week's low, it's not worrying the risk on the trade. You could be at break even, and if price pops back up, you've got last week's low here, you've got last month's low in here. So this area here is where the market's going to struggle to move through, because that's where the market knows that's last week's low. So big traders, if they're wanting to, buy, they'll buy at last week's low, last month's low. So this is where you're going to have a struggle trying to move through. Doesn't mean to say that long term it won't move through, but it's not where you want to be a seller. All right, so selling in line with the dominant trend at the moment. If we can revisit up here, that would be ideal. Other than that, I don't like the area where we're in. I would need price to do something, reset up for a trade. That was really where you wanted to trade. It may come up and spike in there again, false break, and then you might see an opportunity. All right, dollar Canadian. Now, if you've been following me, I got long. I was going to say short. I got long 160. So 136.02. Well, after CPI data, when we false broke last month's low down here, might break even. Targeting. Really trying to target up to at least here, 37.91, and seeing if we get some great price drive up, because we're rather range bound, but are we accumulating? Because we moved above this area of consolidation here. So what I'm hoping for is we had some sideways price action here. Then we broke above. Now we've got this consolidation. Are we going to now break above? And then we know we could consolidate above there. So we're kind of going up in steps. Consolidation, break up. Then we're consolidating. Are we going to break up? So I've theoretically bought the base of consolidation. And if price wants to be really very friendly, it would be great if it broke north. Now, from consolidation areas, the longer the consolidation, this is a weekly chart, so this is quite a long period of consolidation here. You can get a strong move. There was a period of consolidation kind of, in this area. All right, even though it's a bit rough. Long area there, then it kind of got a little bit higher here, and then big break up there. So that would be great if we could get that kind of movement from this area, whether we do or we don't. I'll have to wait and see how things pan out. So just kind of targeting up here at resistance at the moment. Although if we started to see a major kind of strength come in, then I would probably not look to jump out. I would look to see whether we're going to break. At the moment, if I look at the range itself, we're kind of in the middle. So, when you're dealing with a range, yes, the best area to be a buyer is at the bottom of the range. In the middle, that's where it can fail and then come back down. So trying to trade in the middle here is not that easy. However, in this kind of upward move now that we're having, we broke this minor top here. This area here, we can see where price came down to yesterday. That should be support to continue up. So we kind of pull back almost to that top. Through here. And then it's reversed up quite impulsively. So even though we're in the middle of the range, you can see that we're accommodating around the 62 level at the moment. Now, depending on the US news when it comes out later in the day, the climate count change, we could spike down to this 79%, 136.65, and that would be a great area to be a buyer. That's what I would look for. Or if you're not already positioned from lower down, then that would be a good level to watch for the buyer side to trade up to attack this high up here. Dollar franc, it's traded down. It's in a downtrend. Maybe false breaking there. This could very easily, I just want to go to the weekly chart. Weekly trend is down. It's bouncing off weekly support. We could easily come back up to, in the interim, we could bounce here to move back to 88.92, which has been support. Is that now going to be resistance? To the day chart, getting a fib drawn, across there. That's very, we're very overextended in this most immediate move down. I would certainly I would anticipate that we're going to come here at least. We could come like so. Come back to this area. But trend's quite clear down. So whether or not you're wanting to, go against trend, showing definite support here. That candle there, see how it's come down. The 4-hour chart rejected. That will be a 79% retracement down there. I go to my 50-minute chart of this range here. 79% overlapping with daily support. Well, it's last month's low, weekly support, and day support. So we may have already held there now to move back up today. We could once more revisit there. So quite clear support's been shown there. Whilst it is counter trend, that weekly low at the moment at 88.26 is offering definite support. So if it was to move back down there again and false break, then you don't want to buy on top of that support. Beg your pardon, you don't want to sell on top of that support. But most definitely, if it once more rejects, buying down there is a safer buy as you're going to get because you're buying on support. No guarantee that you're going to be, there's never a 100% guarantee that you're going to be right. But if price get down to that level, with the opportunity of buying or selling at that level, you want to be a buyer because it's support. You don't want to, you don't want to sell into support. All right. So is the dollar franc getting support down here? Like, on the dollar index, are we going to get support down here at the 79% level to trade back up over the next day or two? All right, dollar yen. So what I'm doing here in the dollar yen is this is last month's low to last month's high. Just want to double check that was last month. Well, that's actually this month. So just broken above last month's high to a new month high this month, but that's the range that I'm monitoring. You can see we are reversing down here on day support at the 79% level. So are we going to start to reverse back up? All the yen pairs are in the kind of same situation. They're coming into areas of support. I've been using the June low up to wherever the high is as the anchor point for my fib, and we're in the 79% levels or 62 to 79% levels on the yen pairs. For our chart, are we going to, start to see some bullish price action on the 4-hour chart longer term over the next few days? And if we do anticipate that this is going to get filled, that imbalance or fair value gap, whatever you want to call them, this one here too. All right. So if we start to see the pound dollar and the euro dollar top out, well, the yen pairs may well bottom. Dollar yen would move up, and then weakness on the yen side would maybe translate across all the yen pairs to put in an interim bottom here. So at the moment, the 4-hour structure is still down, and the little 4-hour candle I've been using for my range, this inside candle, if you do it on the dollar yen as well, you're going to see that we're at the 79% level. It's holding at the central pivot. We've got this kind of intraday double top here on the dollar yen. We've got the same thing on the Aussie yen. What have we got on the euro yen? We have the same thing on the euro yen. I'm guessing we've got the same thing on the pound yen. No, we don't. We're a bit low on the pound yen because the pound dollar's been moving down. Got the same thing on the New Zealand yen, this double top. So if the dollar yen breaks above this double top, we're going to see all of those other yen pairs with their double tops break as well. And that's going to see correlated pairs are all moving in the same direction potentially. So I'm kind of leaning to the idea that we might be getting ready for a move up. I'm not seeing an opportunity to get to the buy side yet, but over the next 24 hours, if I start to see something for like a 4-hour shift in structure, then that would tip my hand. All right, finally on gold to the daily. New high, bit of a negative candle here on the new high, but the low of yesterday held above the previous all-time high here at 24.50. So that's the level of support at the moment, 24.50. To the 4-hour, 24.50 is the all-time high it was. That's where the buyers should be looking to buy. If we do move down, well, I was going to draw a fib in, but that's really going to change the trend. If we can break that low and get support at 24.50, so we can come down to this area and hold. We can break that low and then false break and hold here. So that would be the area to watch for price to come down into support and hold, 24.50. If we clearly move down, then it does beg the question that whilst we're in an uptrend, we are struggling at the previous all-time high. And then we could well be seeing, just want to go to the weekly chart. we could then see a pullback within this range before another leg up. All right, because you see how we just got above that high and then we came down, put in another higher bottom. We couldn't change the trend. So now that we've just moved above this high, and to prove the point, where price is very high up within the fib range. Here's the weekly fib range, right? We're almost at the 127 extension. So the reality is that we moved up, we pulled back very deep, then we've moved up, we've done the same length of run up again, pretty much. Will we now come down to then once more run up? Whilst the trend's most definitely up and it is holding, but the market knows this is all-time highs. The market knows it's very expensive relative to, what's the price of gold worth. So, if you're physically buying gold, storing it in your safe at home, and you bought it years ago, and you're heading into retirement and you want to cash it in for your retirement funds, wouldn't you be selling it right now at the highest point it's ever been? So that's why you would get selling pressure. Now, of course, gold might be going to $50,000, but at the moment, this is if you bought it at very low prices and you wanted to spend that money, well, this is the prime time to sell it, because you don't know if it's going to go higher in the most immediate term, because it's as high as it's been. All right, so if that high doesn't hold, I would expect then on a weekly scale that we could see a weekly retracement, which, if, as I was saying before, if the dollar index is going to bottom here and move up, that would lend to the idea that gold would move down. So gold's very high. It's at the kind of top of the move at the moment in terms of the fib range. So it is worth starting to monitor. If we can't hold 24.50, we could well then be moving back down within the fib range at the moment. All right, so we'll see how that starts to maybe top out or not up there. Within yesterday's candle, just eyeballing it, I'm going to go to the 1 hour chart. We dropped, if you wanted to get short, there are a couple of 1 hour tops to the left here. That one there, that area there, 24.76 area, could be a good selling area today. We're very high up. If you're looking to more to the short side, can it rally back up to 24.76 for a short? All right, that's my thoughts on gold. Maybe it's a little bit toppy up there at the moment. All right, I'm going to wrap things up there. If you want to join me next week, just head over to the webinar page. Links there at the top. And we're back on board next Tuesday with more analysis at 7 p.m. Sydney time. If you want to join me then, just go head over to the link at the top, and I look forward to seeing you then. Other than that, just be careful of the Eurozone news this evening, coming in at 10:15 Queensland time. It's going to be volatile, I'm sure, for the Eurozone crosses there. Other than that, have a great rest of the trading day, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Wade.